Hi everyone, how you going? It's the 31st of January 2023 and I'm just taking you for a walk around the garden so you can see the changes that have been made. This is the immediate back garden, so the garden bed that we walk straight out to from our back door. We've extended out the rocks here, put newspaper down and then soil and then mulch over the top in that section. And then we've actually just left this as soil so that I can have a lot more plants in it. Probably the shadow isn't so good there, but it's giving me a lot of picking flowers, and it's a pretty warm day, so I've got to the later part of the day and I'm filming, so probably a little bit warm for the garden. I've got about 5 lilacs planted around this garden, so this is one of the largest ones, so it should look really nice when it, finally comes into flower and starts getting bigger. It'll be a very fragrant area. Outside the granny flat. Then we walk out to the area where there was a big pile of mulch. We've now moved the trampoline that we were using for the chickens to scratch under to get rid of some grass in the immediate backyard. We've moved that out. It's not set up, so don't worry, nobody's been bouncing on it. That's broken. Not lined up properly, but I've got some stuff there that needs to be moved. Here's the sunshine garden. Calendulas, once again, going to seed, looking a bit scrappy, but I'm collecting the seeds so that I can sell them, which helps me to buy other plants and put my money into my garden. We've got fennel, which is just, it's just beautiful. Adds a lovely fragrance to the garden when you walk through it, and the bees and the birds love it. So this sunshine garden is everything yellows and reds, and there's a bee. Don't know if he's going to come out clear or not. So it's very pretty, a very pretty little spot when it's in flower. Lots of yellows at the moment, not so many reds, but they're happening. And then along here we've got the pallet fence garden. And what you doing, Rory? We've got the pallet fence garden, and this is the chrysanthemums are growing along now. I've joined the South Australian Chrysanthemum Society and starting to learn a lot about propagating them and caring for them. We've got our Blue Moon and Peace roses, which are starting to grow up on the arbour. And then I've got the circle garden bed, which is just, it's looking amazing. The apples are actually, they're fruiting, but the birds are actually getting it before we do, because as you could see back there on the trampoline, there's the the net that's supposed to be over them. So this is a big picking bed area, and I call it the circle bed. Originally, Rory, just going to see what he's doing because he's onto something. There is a rabbit in the yard. Hopefully that's all it is. Rory, leave it now. Come on, leave it. Leave it. You can hear something in there. Come on, mate. Come on, leave it be. Oh, it's the rabbit. It's the rabbit, Rory. It's okay. It's just the bunny. It's just the bunny. It's the rabbit. He's cheeky, isn't he? Yes. One rabbit is okay, but yeah, I keep saying we hope it's a boy. Anyway, there's the netting sitting there and all the fruit exposed to the parrots. We've got things that have fallen down because we had a bit of a windy old stormy day not long ago. Hailstones again in summer, which is just crazy. I've got loads of plants growing in there that are for picking, and some of these herbs will be getting transferred to another garden bed once we've got it established. But it gets some afternoon shade and it gets the morning sun, so it's more mild, and the plants are actually really responding well to it. So I'm growing straw flowers for the first time. I've got bergamot growing. What else have we got in there? There's the white and the blue borage, which is nearly finished, and I'm letting it go to seed. And then we've got different types of fennel. We've got the Queen Anne's lace, which is dying off now. The good old artichokes have added the most beautiful pop of purple in the garden. I've had lupins and foxglove, delphiniums, all flowering, and we've got a massive Jerusalem artichoke at the back that's coming into flower. So we're going back now. There's the sunshine garden again, and there's some sunflowers that I've planted in there which should look really nice. Grew them from seed, so that's a nice sense of achievement. The Aggies have come up really tall. They're giving us a bit of a boundary for when we have the cars and the trucks coming back in the back here in the garden delivering dirt. And then we can go this side to where we've got the water garden. And this water garden it's gone for a whole year and it's survived. The plants have all survived. I'm not sure if the fish have survived, to be honest. I haven't seen them for a while, and the kookaburras are always around, so I don't think there's going to be any fish left in there. We put 6 in, all up 2 in each little pond, but I don't think that they've survived. And then over here we've sort of got another water feature that we just started off with just to see if we can actually grow the plants here as well, because the plan will be that this section all across here will join up and there'll be water here, and we'll walk over a bridge, through an arbour here, over a bridge, and then to the swing garden. So there's a lovely little orchid that's in flower. And then this is a shady area, isn't it, Rory? It's really nice. So this is where we've done photo shoots for ladies, and we've got I'll go back a bit further, but the big mop top trees are just massive here, and they provide a real good amount of shade. So that's them there. It's a lovely spot to come to on a hot day. You're definitely guaranteed of shade here in the middle of the day. And then in front of it is our driveway garden, which goes across where people drive in from the driveway from the main road. We've got Jerusalem artichokes in there and roses. The echiums died right down, and I'm hoping I might get a couple of seeds that propagate naturally for us. And then we've got the elderflowers, lucerne trees, sort of like, I can't think what the word is, but basically elderflower and then lucerne tree, elderflower, lucerne tree, repeating the pattern across there. The big honey bush, which is starting to get a bit straggly. When I come back to where the swing garden is, you can see a little bit more out the front there. I think summer's a really beautiful time, but it's also a bit of a scrappy time, and you have to be a little bit, I'm going to sit on the swing, you have to be a little bit patient with what's going on in the garden, especially if you want to collect seeds. So over in the first driveway bed, I call that, we've got the hollyhocks in full bloom. I'm not finding they're very good for floral work, but they do look amazing, but they're getting heavy now, and then they're producing the seeds, so I'm going to let them go, and I probably should have staked them a little bit earlier in the piece. Terry's got sprinklers system now working into the garden bed there, and that's been really lovely. Like, it just gives this beautiful circle of water over 2 parts of that garden, and it's really looking after them. Still hand watering all of this section here. And along the creek we've got plants that are now growing. Got them all planted. Got them planted when I wasn't very well. I've had sort of like a bout between November, even still now I feel like I'm getting like this fatigue. So I've had to really pull back with what I've been doing in the garden, and thankfully Gary and Terry have picked up the slack with the mowing and the maintenance, and Terry's still been working her magic with her lovely skills that she shares very freely with us here in the garden. This is the upper garden bed, which gets a fair bit of sunshine in the afternoon, and then this section gets a shade. So I've got some hydrangeas in here, pelargoniums, carpet roses, fuchsia, and a few bits and bobs, but not as much in here as, this has still got a bit of area for developing. And then the shade, this is the more shady garden. This has got the different, like Arctosis daisy. We've got Shasta daisies, Osteospermum, Honesty, some geraniums, some buddleia, echium. And this is a nice little plant, the scabiosa. It's really easy to grow, but it gives me some nice little flowers for my floral work. We've got lamb's ears over here, which are just lovely. So that gives us a nice pop of lushness. And then the tall plant there is salvia, which should look really pretty when it's in flower. This is called bishop's lace. And oh no, that's sneaky. This is an achillea that's come through that's white, but the bishop's lace flower is a white flower as well. It gives a nice spray of white flowers. Salvia. And then we've got some irises coming up. Dusty Miller finishing flowering now. I've got belladonnas all planted all around this bed, so we should get some nice big pink trumpet flowers soon appear with them. And Rory's demonstrating the upper garden bed here. So once again, Terry's put some sprinklers on this system, which is really helping this part of the garden. So some real feature plants that are starting to come out. Looks like we've got a bit of blue in the garden at the moment, but we've got the osteospermum in the blue, the blueberry, and this here is called sea holly. Absolutely beautiful plant. So it's quite soft when it's fresh, but you can use it as a dried flower, and it comes a little bit spiky, but this iridescent purpley blue, the bees actually love it. This is a type of salvia, and this one's been really pretty as well. It's getting a little bit long, so I've been starting to cut it back. And this is what we're using for the watering system, just the wobblers on a tall piece of pipe, and it's working a treat. And then here, globe thistle, just beautiful. And there we go. There's some bees demonstrating how much they love the plant. So it starts off just with like a spike, and then these little flowers appear, and it's dying off now. I don't think it'll grow by seed. It's going to grow more by division. But it's a really nice plant, and I've already got a lot of interest in it from people looking to purchase this one. So I need to get this one propagated up and divided up as much as I can. And then here's a pretty achillea called Pearl. I think that's lovely. And we've got another echium here. We're coming down to a messy part of the garden. This is a real working part of the garden. The old trampoline, we're using it for putting our succulents on, and over in this area is where the potting shed's going to go. That's still developing. The trailer's being used for potting mix at the moment. And then like I said, I wasn't well, so I'm really not on track with how many flowers are growing in this bed, because my plan with succession planting just hasn't gone to plan. So what I have planted has been successful, but I haven't got any ongoing plants that are in seedlings yet. I still have to plant the seeds, but we've still got like another month of summer, and then we've got the 3 months of autumn, which I should have some success with. So watch this space. This space should be full of colour in autumn. That's the plan. And the cosmos has been really beautiful, giving me lots of seeds as well, because I haven't been picking it as much. I've only just started putting my posies out the front again. And then there's the sunflowers. One sunflower seems to be thinking the sun's one way, and one thinks it's the other way. But oh well, not going to complain. We've got some seeds starting to develop on some of the heads, and the patterns in the sunflowers they are really just beautiful. Once again, get a bit straggly, but I've picked a lot out of this bed, and that's ready for more plants to be put in there. I've got some chrysanthemums growing and some dahlias, and over that way is the greenhouse. Coming back now, just looking at the raised garden bed for another time, so you can just see a little bit more. We've had real success with the feverfew, which is now going off to seed, but this is the feverfew flower. Only a couple of them are left that I can use for my floral work. The rest have all decided to, they've had their time, so I can cut that right back and it will just sprout up again. But I'm actually going to let it go to seed, and I'm going to flick it all around along the creek bed and hope that we get some lovely height and that pop of white all along the creek bed in next summer. And then we've got buddleia growing and dying off. Bit of a cycle, doesn't last real long, the flowers of the buddleia, but they are so pretty and the butterflies love it. Here's another type of osteospermum, and I think that's called Serenity Red. Here we are again with the sea holly, starting to fall over, it's got so heavy. And here's another type of achillea or achillea, depending on how you say it. This one's a terracotta one. And as I was saying before about this blue, the bees just, they absolutely love it. There's like so many bees there that if I was allergic to bees right now, I wouldn't want to be standing here, but I'm not, so there you go. I think they're just beautiful. There is no scent that I can smell on those flowers, but they're very, very pretty. They basically go from a shade of almost like a white sagey green through to this iridescent bluey purple. So now we're at the sweet peas, which is the arbor we made out of the old swing set. And the sweet peas were a success, but I overplanted. We had excessive amount of water this year, and I also just think that it was a matter of the weather. But if I hadn't planted them so thick, I would have had better success. I've left these ones here still because they were still flowering and producing the seeds, so I'm letting them go to the seed. And you can see, where's some examples? So these ones aren't really going to be viable seeds. Some of them are really thin, and then over here we've got nice chunky seed heads starting to happen, so they're going to be good seeds for me to collect. And then they'll get planted on St. Patrick's Day, around that time of year anyway, in autumn, and I will get a few different other varieties as well to put up here. And that's looking at the actual driveway bed from this angle. You'll see a lot of colour happening in there. We've got the big tall verbena, got the Shasta daisy, I've got some wildflowers, scabiosa, which the bees love, and hollyhocks are starting to fall, pretty pinks, purples, and I have another achillea here in a very soft pink. Oh, there's a pineapple lily, that's cute. Got some dahlias planted here, and this is another achillea, or achillea, however you say it, and that's in this lovely soft pink, and then it fades off to white. So it's quite a versatile one for my floral work. And then we'll just walk up here to going past Gary's shed, which is being overgrown by grass. So we haven't covered any of this. So we've got, the garden is free of grass and the driveway's got grass. So, you know, go figure, that's sort of life, isn't it? Murphy's Law. So here's our dahlia bed, and I'll take you in there. So we've got some, it was very slow to develop these because, like I say, it was really wintry. It was a really wintry start to spring and summer, so it was very slow. But we've just started to get some flowers coming now. And I'm going to come back here so you can see we've got quite a bit of space. I think there's about 30 plants in here. And a lot of the mulch down the bottom has come from the sweet peas because it's just protecting the roots from being burnt. This is one called a Cafe au lait, which is starting to open. And then there's one around here that's open. This will be ready to pick. Oh, look at that. Isn't she beautiful? And I've got a couple of others that look like they're starting to come out as well. Over here I tried sunflowers, but the sunflowers aren't going soup. Look, they've grown, but they're getting too much shade, I think. And then there's also a cosmos called Cupcake Cosmos, which is just absolutely gorgeous. See how it looks like a little cupcake? And I've got the double ones and the single ones in the pinks and the whites. They're more in the other growing bed. And then we've got the greenhouse, which has had a bit of damage from storms, so I'm trying to block up the holes with the old salon mats that girls have used when I've done their waxing or massage, and then I just wash them and use them out in the garden. This is another dahlia that's starting to open. So it's not completely open yet, so I'm not going to pick it until it's open. But yeah, having a bit of success with that. And then we've got some smaller ones down here. And then over here, I've got one called Noel's Red. And Noel is my dad. And so I've called it Noel's Red, and I've got a few of these that I managed to get from Tassie, from him, in his garden in Tassie, and the tubers they're growing, so I can't wait for that to flower. If you're watching this, Dad, hello. That's the picking bed, the circle bed. Oh yeah, so the garden beds are Rory